It was supposed to be a routine court hearing. A poor black janitor accused of attacking a rich white store owner. The courtroom was already whispering about the verdict, but no one expected a 10-year-old boy to walk in, stare the judge in the face, and say, "Your Honor, my name is Elijah. I will be defending my father today." The room erupted in gasps. But Elijah wasn't shaking. He came prepared. The story opens in rural Alabama. The heat is thick and the tension is thicker. Elijah's father, Raymond Walker, is a janitor and former Marine. He works night shifts, stays quiet, and avoids trouble until he's arrested. The charge? Assaulting Brent Halverson, a prominent white store owner who claims Raymond attacked him with a metal rod after an argument over a broken vending machine. But here's what no one talks about. That property sits on land the city has been trying to reclaim from black family for years. Raymond refused to sell. Now he's the one in handcuffs. Elijah's mom passed away 3 years ago. His father raised him with discipline, love, and a sense of justice. Every night, they read old military law manuals instead of fairy tales. Elijah believes in truth, and he believes his dad is innocent. On the day of the trial, the public defender calls in sick. The judge suggests rescheduling, but Halverson wants a swift judgment. That's when Elijah walks up. "Your Honor, I'm prepared. I know what happened, and I can prove my father didn't do it." The judge nearly laughs, but something in Elijah's eyes stops him. Judge Matheson, a decorated veteran, narrows his eyes. "And what exactly do you think you know, son?" Elijah places a worn-out notebook on the desk. "I know the footage was edited, and I know who helped cover it up." As Elijah turns to face the courtroom, a man in the back quietly exits. It's the police chief. He knows what Elijah just said is true. The silence after Elijah's words was deafening. The judge leaned forward. "Elijah, tell this court what you mean by the footage was edited." Elijah opened his notebook. Inside were notes, sketches, and printed screenshots. But what caught everyone's attention was a single flash drive taped to the back cover. "My dad installed the new cameras at Halverson's store. He always saves backup footage in case something goes wrong. That day, he saved a copy to his old laptop, the one he let me borrow for school." He handed the flash drive to the bailiff, who took it to the judge. As the courtroom watched the footage on the screen, it was clear Raymond never attacked Halverson. Instead, Halverson shoved Raymond first. Raymond stumbled back, and a store clerk jumped in, escalating the scene. Halverson's edited version had removed his own aggression entirely. A wave of murmurs spread through the room. But Elijah wasn't finished. "Your Honor, please notice the man behind the counter." The screen paused on a blurry figure at the register. That's Officer Craig Landon, in uniform, working off-duty security. He was there the whole time, but he never filed a report. Judge Matheson's eyes widened. "You're saying a police officer witnessed this and stayed silent?" "Yes, and I think I know why." Elijah flipped to a page in his notebook. "This land Halverson wants? It's part of the redevelopment project Your Honor approved. They needed my dad off that property. Halverson promised the police union early contracts if they helped." Gasps. Again, a woman in the gallery fainted. The judge slammed his gavel. "Order in the court." But it was chaos now. Reporters whispered into their phones. A cameraman from a local station had started filming. Halverson was sweating. His lawyer stood frozen. Then the doors burst open. 2 federal agents walked in. They approached the bench, whispered something to the judge, and handed over a sealed envelope. Judge Matheson's expression darkened. He looked directly at Elijah. "Son, did you contact the Justice Department?" Elijah nodded slowly. "I didn't know who else would listen." The judge stood. "This court will recess, effective immediately." But as people stood to leave, a loud voice rang out. "Elijah Walker, hands on your head." It was Officer Landon, gun drawn. Elijah didn't flinch. Raymond lunged from his seat, and everything went black. Screams erupted in the courtroom. Officer Landon's gun glinted under the overhead lights, his hand shaking as he pointed it at a 10-year-old boy. Elijah Walker now. But before Elijah could react, his father, still cuffed, launched himself forward with a guttural roar only a Marine could make. The bailiff tackled Raymond midair. Chaos followed. The judge ducked. Reporters dove for cover. A mother in the gallery pulled her child to the floor. But Elijah didn't move. Not because he wasn't scared, but because he had something clenched in his hand. A voice recording device. Still running. "Put the weapon down, officer," barked on federal agents. Landon's eyes darted wild, desperate. He wasn't expecting them. "You don't understand," he hissed. "You weren't supposed to know." The agent took a step forward. "We know everything, Landon. The emails, the deleted footage, the offshore payments from Halverson's company." Landon's eyes widened. Elijah tilted his head. "You should have deleted the cloud backup, too." For a moment, Landon just deflated, like all the power had been yanked from his body. He dropped the gun. Raymond was pulled to his feet, his lip bleeding, eyes burning with fear and rage. He knelt by his son. "Are you okay?" Elijah nodded slowly, his small hand still clutching the recorder. "You taught me not to blink in the face of evil." As calm returned to the courtroom, Judge Matheson ordered a full investigation into the redevelopment conspiracy. The media outside had caught wind. Protesters began to gather. Reporters swarmed the building. The truth was finally cracking through the surface. But justice was still a long way off. That night, Elijah and Raymond were escorted out a side door for their protection. The judge had signed a temporary release. But neither of them felt safe. Not yet. In the car, Elijah turned to his father. "Dad, I didn't show them everything." Raymond looked over. "What do you mean?" "There's a second flash drive, the one with a phone call between Halverson and the deputy mayor." Raymond's breath caught. Elijah stared out the window. They were planning something bigger. Not just our house, the whole block. A text pinged on Elijah's phone. "Unknown number. You should have stayed quiet. Now we're coming for the rest of your family." Elijah's fingers tightened around the phone. Raymond's voice was steady but low. "We're not running." "No," Elijah said. "We're fighting." The headlights behind them suddenly sped up. Fast. Too fast. The car slammed into theirs. Their world spun into darkness once again. Everything froze. A single gunshot echoed through the courtroom like a thunderclap. Screams. Chairs overturned. Papers flew into the air. For a second, no one could tell who had been hit. Raymond was on the floor, shielding Elijah. Elijah's small hands gripped his father's shirt. His eyes were wide, unblinking, but he was alive. The bullet hit the wooden railing, inches from his head. Officer Landon was tackled by one of the federal agents. The gun clattered across the floor, but something was off. The second agent wasn't helping. In fact, he wasn't moving at all. He was staring at Elijah, almost like he recognized him. "Secure the child," he said, his voice low, almost mechanical. Elijah clutched his notebook tightly. No. The judge's chambers became an emergency room. Paramedics rushed in. Raymond was shaken but uninjured. Elijah sat quietly, hugging his knees, whispering something over and over. Don't let them erase the truth. The next morning, headlines exploded. Boy lawyer survives assassination, attempt in courtroom drama. But the truth was already being spun. Local news claimed Elijah provoked the officer, that Raymond had lunged violently. The footage mysteriously went missing. The flash drive? Corrupted. But Elijah had copies. The FBI agent who helped Landon escape was now missing. Internal Affairs claimed he never existed. No files. No ID. Nothing. But Elijah remembered something odd about his badge. It had a single blue star. Raymond went pale when he heard that. "Son, that's not the FBI. That's something else." That night, Elijah checked his father's laptop again. In one of the hidden folders, he found something new. A short video, time-stamped 2 days before the incident. It showed Halverson meeting in secret with 4 men, including the police chief and someone with the same blue star badge. They weren't just trying to evict the walkers. They were buying out the entire block, using bribes, threats, and framing anyone who resisted. Elijah turned to his father. "We can't stop now." Raymond hesitated. Elijah, if we go further, they'll come after us for real. I don't care. But Raymond did. He had already lost his wife. He wouldn't lose his son. He secretly called someone he hadn't spoken to in years. His late wife's brother, Malik, a former intelligence officer turned recluse. The next morning, Elijah was gone. No note, no sign of forced entry. Just his notebook and one final line scribbled on the last page. If you're reading this, they found me, but they haven't stopped me. Part 5. The Ghost in the System. Raymond's hands trembled as he clutched the note. The silence in Elijah's empty room was deafening. The half-open window lent a breeze that made the curtains sway like mourning ghosts. No, 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 no. He tore through the apartment, checking closets, hallways, the stairwell. Elijah. But deep inside, he already knew this wasn't a simple runaway. Someone took him. Raymond called Malik. They have him. My boy. He's gone. Malik's voice on the other end was steel. Lock your door. Burn anything digital. I'm on my way. 2 hours later, Malik arrived in an old black SUV with government plates removed. He was older, hair grayer, but his eyes were sharp with rage. Why didn't you call me when this all started? Raymond was too shaken to answer. Malik scanned the room, zeroing in on the open notebook. He flipped through the pages. He left a trail. He's smarter than they think. Meanwhile, Elijah was in the back of a blacked-out SUV, wrists zip-tied. Over his head. He wasn't scared. He was calculating. He had memorized the conversation before they grabbed him. Something about a transfer protocol, a private lab, and clearing the Walker case off the record. They weren't planning to keep him alive. Back at the apartment, Malik unearthed a dusty metal case from his truck. We're going hunting, he said. Raymond opened it. Inside were encrypted phones, a burner laptop, a satellite uplink, and a military-grade tracker. They pinged the last known signal from Elijah's smartwatch. It showed a facility, off the grid, deep in a forest outside Albany. But that wasn't the twist. The owner of the property? Halverson Real Estate Holdings. Elijah was led down a cold hallway. Concrete floors, fluorescent lights, cameras in every corner. He noticed a logo on the wall, a phoenix rising over barbed wire. He whispered the words from his notebook. They rise from ashes after they burn everything down. They put him in a glass room with a metal table. No food, no water. Then she walked in. Tall, blonde, sharp smile. I'm Agent Kincaid, she said. You've been a very naughty little boy. Elijah said nothing. We don't want to hurt you, but you know things children aren't supposed to know. She leaned in. Where are the backups? He looked her in the eye, checked the courtroom ceiling. She froze. It was a lie, but she bit. Malik and Raymond were already en route. Malik had tapped into his old agency network. The facility they were heading to wasn't listed on any government registry. Off book, Malik muttered. Black site. Used to be for terrorists. Now it's for whistleblowers and inconvenient people. Raymond clenched his fists. My son is 9. Malik looked him dead in the eye. And they're more afraid of him than anyone I've ever seen. That night, Elijah staged a diversion. He took apart the camera panel in the ceiling, while humming loudly to mask the clicks. He rerouted the wires with a hairpin and a snapped-off pen spring. The feed looped. 10 seconds. Enough. He shoved the metal table against the wall, climbed it, and triggered the fire alarm sensor with a lighter he'd stolen from one of the guards. Sprinklers. Red lights. Panic. He slipped out during the chaos. But as he ran down the corridor, alarm shrieking behind him, he came face to face with someone unexpected. His mother. She was alive, barely standing, bruised, but real. Elijah, she whispered. Before he could answer, a figure stepped out from behind her with a silencer. The figure with the silencer stepped forward. Elijah froze. His body instinctively shielded his mother. She stumbled, trying to say something, but the man spoke first. Elijah Walker, step aside. She doesn't belong to you anymore. The voice was cold, precise, like someone trained not just to kill, but to erase. But Elijah knew that voice. It was the same one from the audio file he decoded a month ago, the one issuing the original kill order on his father. "You're Agent Monroe," Elijah said, his small voice laced with venom. The silencer didn't move. "Very good. Just like your father." His mother groaned. Don't listen to him. He's lying. Elijah, he's not FBI." But Monroe pressed a gun against her temple. "Your mother has been very disobedient." Elijah's eyes burned. "You're going to kill her because she tried to protect us?" "No," Monroe said, "because she knows who you are and what you were never meant to become." He cocked the gun. Elijah lunged forward, straight for the fire alarm panel on the wall. Smash! Glass shattered. Emergency lockdown triggered. Metal doors slammed down across the corridor, dividing Elijah and Monroe. His mother collapsed into his arms as Monroe snarled from the other side of the blast-proof glass. "You think this stops US?" he screamed, slamming his fist into the door. Elijah held his mother tightly. "I'll get us out," he whispered. "Just hold on." Meanwhile, Raymond and Malik reached the edge of the forest. Malik adjusted the thermal scope on his rifle. They've got drones. 360 coverage. Whoever's funding this is ex-military. Raymond stared into the trees. "I need to get my boy back." Malik loaded a magazine. "Then we do this smart. We go in quiet. No hero moves." Raymond said nothing, because this wasn't about being a hero anymore. It was about finishing what they started. Back in the facility, Elijah carried his mother through the access tunnels. She was losing blood fast, her lips pale, breath shallow. "Elijah," she murmured, "there's something I have to tell you." "Not now," he said, pushing through another door. "Save your strength." "No, you need to know." She looked at him with pain and fear. "Raymond, he's not your biological father." Elijah froze. "What?" "There was a program, a genetic design initiative. You were born in that lab." Elijah's world cracked open. "You mean I was made?" She nodded, tears in her eyes. "But he raised you. He chose you. He's your father in every way that matters." Elijah swallowed the storm of questions. "How long have you known?" "Since you turned 4. That's when they started watching us." Elijah clenched his fists. No wonder they wanted him erased. He wasn't just a smart kid. He was a prototype. Monroe, furious, made a call from behind the lockdown doors. "She's with him. They're in the sublevels. I want both dead. Now." A voice on the line replied, "They won't make it far, but there's a bigger problem." "What?" "The boy has something. A drive. A file. We don't know what's on it." Monroe cursed. "Then bring in Phase Omega." In the forest, Malik and Raymond reached the perimeter of the facility. "We're here," Malik whispered. They could see the fencing, the patrols, the cameras. Raymond checked his watch. Elijah always sets his stopwatch to 9/11 every day. "I don't know why." Malik smirked. "Because it's a signal. That kid is using emergency code time." Just then, a red flare fired into sky from inside the compound. "He's telling us where he is," Raymond whispered. The boy wasn't just surviving. He was orchestrating his own rescue. Elijah helped his mother into an old infirmary. He raided the cabinet. Adrenaline syringes, gauze, surgical thread. He didn't flinch as he stitched her wounds with trembling hands. His mind was already 2 steps ahead. He accessed the old nurse's computer. Typed in the code he'd memorized from Malik's training books. X1 protocol. Override. It worked. Facility schematics loaded on screen. And more. A list of others. Children. Dozens. Names. Experiments. Failures. Subjects. He wasn't the only one. Suddenly, the lights turned red. A robotic voice echoed. "Phase Omega activated. Evacuation protocol in 3 minutes." He looked down at his mother. "You're not dying here." He pulled a hidden flash drive from his shoe and shoved it into the USB port. Files downloaded fast, until the screen flashed. Alert! Unauthorized extraction detected. Location pinged. Outside, Malik's satellite tablet beeped. "They just triggered the kill protocol," he muttered. "Whatever's in that file, they'd rather burn the place down than let him walk out with it." Raymond grabbed a rifle. "Then we're going in now." Elijah dragged his mother through collapsing tunnels, alarm screaming. From a hatch above, light poured in. He lifted her toward it. Gunshots echoed behind, footsteps approaching fast. "Elijah!" a voice yelled. It wasn't Monroe. It was a woman. Same voice from the courtroom security logs. She dropped into the corridor in tactical gear. "Elijah Walker, you're coming with me." He raised his fist, ready to fight. But the woman showed him something. A badge. "Real. Government issue. Your file landed on my desk 6 months ago. I've been waiting for this moment." Elijah hesitated. "Then help us." She nodded. "Let's get out and expose everything." But just as they reached the ladder, a missile hit the corridor behind them. Boom. Fire. Screams. Elijah flew forward. His mother was gone. And above them, Monroe stood, holding the flash drive. He smiled. "You think this ends here?" The silencer whispered death. Elijah dove, pulling his mother down with him just as the bullet snapped past their heads and shattered a light above. The shooter stepped forward, clean-cut, suited, expressionless. He wasn't here to threaten. He was here to finish the job. Elijah, his mother gasped, hold her side. "Go. Run." But Elijah didn't run. He grabbed the fire extinguisher from the wall and launched it like a missile. It struck the shooter square in the chest. Enough to buy a second. He dragged his mother into a side room. Storage, barely lit. Footsteps close in. His mom clutched his face. "Listen to me. You're smarter than them. But you have to trust someone." A thud at the door. Then a flash grenade rolled in. Outside the facility, Malik's SUV screeched to a halt. "EMP is ready," Malik said. "Once we fire it, every camera, every lock, everything goes dark." Raymond hesitated, hand on the trigger. What if Elijah's near the door mechanisms? Malik put a hand on his shoulder. "He'll survive. He's your son." Raymond hit the switch. Inside the compound, everything flickered, then silence. In the chaos, Elijah sees his chance. The blast had disoriented the shooter. Elijah grabbed his mother's arm and pulled her toward the exit. They burst through emergency stairs, floor by floor, dodging shadows and voices. By the time they hit the bottom level, Raymond was there. He didn't speak, just dropped to his knees and hugged them both. Tight. Malik covered the hallway. "We got 90 seconds before backup systems come on." They moved, but the exit wasn't clean. Kincaid was waiting, wounded but wild-eyed. "You're not walking away," she snarled, pointing her gun at Elijah. Raymond stepped in front of his son. "You don't get to decide that." Kincaid scoffed. "You think you're some kind of hero? You're just a man who pissed off the wrong people." Behind her, Malik raised his weapon. "One more step, and your history." Kincaid smiled. "You don't get it. This doesn't end here." She lowered her weapon and pulled a small detonator from her pocket. "I burn it all." Boom! The explosion shook the ground. Half the compound collapsed. Malik dragged him out as flames roared behind. The SUV peeled off into the woods, tires spinning. In the rearview mirror, Elijah watched the fire consume the place that nearly killed him. He said nothing. 2 weeks later, Washington, D.C. Raymond sat before the House Subcommittee on Intelligence. Cameras flashed. A sea of reporters waited. He placed Elijah's notebook on the table. "My son uncovered an illegal black site being used to silence American citizens. He was kidnapped. My wife was nearly killed. This is not justice. This is treason." Gasps echoed across the room. A congresswoman leaned forward. "And what do you want, Mr. Walker?" Raymond glanced at Elijah beside him, who sat confidently in a suit 3 sizes too big. "I want America to know who the real criminals are." Later that year, a new bill passed, the Elijah Walker Whistleblower Protection Act. Kincaid's name was never found in any agency files. Halverson Real Estate dissolved overnight, but people whispered. They knew. Elijah went back to school. quiet, watching, but different. And at night, sometimes, he'd stare at the ceiling and whisper to the ghost of Courtroom, "I am my father's lawyer, and I'm not done."